There we go. You're live now.
Okay. All right. So, hi, everybody. It's me, Rebecca Micciolo, Corey's grandma. Tottie's here.
Hi,
Um, I
guys.
have I have two other guests. One hasn't gotten here yet. One is waiting backstage. Real quick, I just wanted to thank anybody who's here. I can't see who's here, and I'm new at this, so you guys know I'm very nervous trying to do this. It's very important that I do it, so that's why I'm doing it. We're going to talk about a lot of you know that I write to Chris Gregor monthly, and I have since the day of his sentencing. And today is 1 year since he was sentenced for the unaliving of Corey. And so that's why I picked today to do this. I have a special August letter that I wrote to him. And, the other guests here, Tottie's here because she's my everything when it comes to this YouTube stuff. I admire Toddy, I respect her, and I feel secure with her being here. She's my crutch. I hate to say that. And my idol when it comes to this. So
Don't say that, please. I'm embarrassed at crutch. I'll take crutch, though. I'll take crutch.
But, I just respect all that Toddy does on her channel and all that she's done to help me along the way. And I just feel so grateful to have her here with me and her insight on. She has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, and so that's why I wanted Toddy to be here. And my other guest is a retired DCP&P social worker, and I believe the third guest, I may be wrong, but I believe she's a child advocate. In a local area, but I'm going to bring her on now to introduce herself. So I'm going to bring her on now if I can figure it out.
Hi. Hi, Toddy. Hi, Red.
Hi, Jennifer. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Can you guys hear and see me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I can't see any comments, so maybe one of you can, if someone has a question or something.
Sure.
I'll keep an eye on the comments if you'd like. I'll keep an eye on the comments.
Thank you.
Toddy, you could do that because I don't see them either. I have no idea. Jennifer, if you just want to introduce yourself and let people know what it is that you do and why you felt the need to be here with us today, if you could do that.
Yeah, so I am, by definition, I am a child legal advocate. I am self-employed. I work with DCP&P. I also do some private cases. Graduated in 2002 from Rutgers Law. I worked in matrimonial law for about 2 years and I hated it. I used to cry every time I left. And around that time, DYFS, Division of Youth and Family Services, was kind of under scope for many issues. And they made this compartment of, let's get, legal child advocates, law guardians, and to start advocating for these kids. And that was about 20 years ago. I heard about Corey Micciolo case around the same time that my mother was in the process of dying. And I very rarely say no to a case. It's very uncommon that I say, no, I can't do this. I'm also a single mom, so I make sure that my scheduling is okay. And at that time, I was just very caught up in my own journey of grief with losing my mom. So she passes, and I guess about 6 or 7 months later, I had asked a previous CASA on the case, well, was supposed to be on the case, whatever happened to the Micciolo case? Who got that case? I still hadn't returned back to work. I took some time off after the death of my mother, and she said, "You didn't hear?" And I said, "No." And she's informed me of what happened with Corey. And you have many regrets in life. And as an advocate, you never forget how you can make an impact on a family. Because I love Rebecca. I love Bree. I love her whole entire family. But it was really about Corey for me. And it was very difficult to understand why there wasn't another advocate that was put on that case. So skip forward some time, and the trial went along, and I wasn't going to go, to be honest with all of you. I wasn't going to go, and I'll tell you why. I wasn't sure if I would have the proper restraint in my mouth, number one. And number two, knowing some background, having nothing to do with Corey, but a previous case with the Gregor family, firsthand, I did not think that this was going to go over very well. And I wanted to check myself and make sure that I didn't do anything to hurt the case, number one. Number two, I wanted to make sure that my own personal life, being a single parent, and my career wasn't affected. And a judge had pulled me aside and said, "You need to be there." I said, "Are you sure?" It wasn't the judge that was on it. It was another judge that I worked with. And he said, "Absolutely, you are Corey's voice." And I started attending the trial. And it was extremely difficult for me, knowing the background that the jurors didn't really get, and even some of the Micciolo family didn't have, but I did. And I don't know how many people can attest to this, but every time I show up in the trial, Papa Gregor would sit right behind me. He knew exactly who I was. So did the mother. And the comments were just so insane. And I think it was the second to the last day when the prosecution was breaking down the slideshow, I needed to remove myself from the courtroom that day because I had to throw up. So I never left that case. Yeah, it was really bad, Toddy. I think in one of those videos in the media was just, who's this woman walking out throwing up? That was me. And it's okay. I gave myself grace that day. But the key point for me was when he was actually not at his sentencing, but when they came in with a verdict, and we were all kind of separated because there were so many people there. And I said, since I knew where I was going, I said, "Come on, guys, we'll go over and take a little road trip, to another viewing area." And I sat there, and I didn't think we would come back with a murder based on the law. And anyway, it was what it was. It was not a surprise. It was a wish of mine that he did get on murder, but unfortunately it is what it is, and we can't change that. So I've kind of never left that case. I followed that case since, I had a lot of questions concerning DCP&P. I had a lot of questions concerning child advocacy. I think the ball was dropped, in my opinion, on all levels, including child advocacy. I do still live with that regret in not taking that case, because I can honestly say I don't think Corey would be not here presently with us. I don't say that because I have a high ego, but I do feel confident in my casework that there were too many balls that were dropped here. So.
Real quick question for you. You said you were involved in another case involving the Gregors?
Yeah, well, I wasn't. There was a previous girlfriend. There was an issue that there was a child abuse charge. I can't say too much about that. But there was a case.
I know who you're talking about.
Oh yeah. There was, the thing that really irked me is that none of that was brought up.
No, we weren't allowed to talk about it in court. Nobody was allowed to know about his criminal past or anything from his past.
It was all expunged by Mr. Gregor Sr. That's why the sentencing was the way it was. And I, sitting in the courtroom, listening to these people behind me, and then seeing Bree and Mom and family in front of me or next to me, and it really took a lot of restraint on my part. In fact, after that, I did not go to sentencing for my own personal reasons. However, I did get 167 child advocates from all over the world to write to the judge. asking for Max. There was a prayer chain between all of us. The judges were really concerned about our mental health because, trauma, tragedy doesn't just affect the family and the child. And, there's what we call a guilt sensation that advocates go through because quite frankly, why did my mom have to die? Why was I in that crisis at that time of year? Why couldn't I have jumped onto this case? And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And that's something that I really live with actually every day. So the sentencing day, I was actually asked not to go. My mental health was not good. I hadn't seen that trial was so long, but I think people think when you go home, you go back to normal. No.
You go back to
There's
normal.
no normal on that.
No.
So I did take some time off and did a lot of reflection and wrote down things that could have really been different. For example, would his sentence been higher if all of that wasn't erased? His previous. I mean, there's so many questions that I had. And what I came up with was really one answer to all of them. Corey did not need to die.
No, didn't. Real quick, I want to introduce Mindy. She's a retired DCP&P social worker. She came in just after we got started, so I didn't get to introduce her, but Mindy's here with me at my house. We met when Justice for Corey got started. She was one of the original members. I can remember her showing up to one of the very first rallies, and she was in a blue dress, if I'm not mistaken. And she's kind of been here ever since. And she is a wealth of knowledge. And I'm happy to say that she is a friend of mine, as well as a retired DCP&P social worker. I'd have to say that she's one of the good ones. And had she been on the case, I think Corey would be here today.
Yeah, I agree. My first memory when we met was, I saw the case came to my attention when I saw Brianna's post of Corey's injuries, and that the case was in my former office. And I was absolutely appalled at the location and the seriousness of the injuries, and that this had happened in an office that I'd retire out of. And it was I was very alarmed, and I decided to go to the first rally to support the cause. I did not believe that he had passed, and I'm an advocate. I always support my families, stay within policy, and I went to the march, the rally, excuse me, and I met Brianna, and it was live streamed. I have videos and a couple of pictures from it. And that's my memory. I have a question for you. You had mentioned the Gregors had their charge expunged. Would that be the criminal, or would that be DCP&P expungement, like a substantiation or like a criminal charge?
No, so there was, it's funny you mentioned the rally, and I believe it was the third or the fourth day. One of the viewers can chime in. And one thing I was not allowed to do was join in on any kind of sign holding or, because I could risk my job. But because I'm self-employed, I'm thinking to myself on the way there, what are they going to do, fire me? Okay. I'll get another job. And I remember I don't remember, I believe her name was Maddie. And she, had these signs out there. And
I just want to say that Maddie seems to be in the chat. She said that she wore blue for Corey. So
I did. Yes, absolutely. And that was something that I was asked not to do, Toddy. And I did it anyway. And, at that point, when a child is lost, that a child advocate, any child, not just Corey, any child, we want what's in the best interest of that child, right? That's our job. A law guardian, a child advocate, a legal guardian, there's many names for us, but that's the goal. And what I kept going back to is, wait a minute, I'm being asked not to show up to hold a sign and do not wear blue. Why? Is that dismissing Corey? To me, it does.
Yeah.
Not so much the family. I was there for the family, but I was there for Corey.
Right.
And I didn't at that point really care. So I was on that street with these wonderful women. I believe Mindy was one of them. And these people were honking horns. And one time the trucker said, "You better pull over, ma'am. You're going to get pulled." And you know what? I really didn't care.
Right.
Corey, every child, and I've seen it all, needs a voice. And sometimes, many times, that voice gets forgotten because of a very broken system.
Yeah.
Right.
So I did get reprimanded after that day. That's fine. I did apologize. But at the end of the day, the judge said to me, not that judge, another judge, "You're going to just do you, aren't you?"
Yeah,
And then when Brianna started talking about getting Corey's law passed, that got me on the phone in the background because my nickname is Dragon. Do you want to be on Dragon? No, you really don't, Toddy. Although you could probably give me a run for my money. I watched you.
Yeah, but I think we're on the same side. We're on the same side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Mindy, yes, there was previous charges that were somewhere, somehow, I can't say the name. Where did they go?
Civil charges.
Yeah. Where did they go? Where did they go?
Every other charge.
Can I ask you a general question with the chat? And Rebecca, please don't answer this. Would the outcome have been the same if Mr. Gregor had his charges that were still convicted, marijuana, whatever? And we'll talk about drugs in a minute. If his father wasn't a retired state trooper. Think about it. Am I blaming him? I don't know. I'm not, I'm not a fortune teller. But I found it very strange that there were before he meets Corey, there were previous things that had happened with other children. What happened with that?
Plural. Is that plural? Plural, children or child?
Plural.
I'm aware of one.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, what happened to that was the girl got up and fled. She left the state with her child. And so
so we have that comes domestic violence does come into play. I'm not making excuses and I am not judgmental at all. We do not know what's going on behind closed doors in people's lives. And I do know a little bit more of that case and on the why. But, Rebecca, you raised a very two strong women. Nikki is I love Nikki. I mean, Nikki was my go-to. And she, you did that. They didn't just come out of you that way. And Brianna and Nikki and your son and the loss of your son, but that takes resilience, right? And I am proud of Bray greatly for moving forward with this Corey's law because it will get passed. It will. Yeah. It will happen.
Very time consuming, I'm told.
That's the system.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys could read the chat, but in the chat they're saying Corey would still be alive if Gregor Sr. didn't have ties to the law enforcement. Plain and simple, the Gregors are just as liable, in my opinion.
I've said it all along, Toddy. I hold them just as responsible. They
Correct.
lied to the DCP&P workers when they would come to their house. They lied. They, would tell the DCP&P worker about their education, and they just outright lied. And to me, that makes them just as responsible.
According to documents, they corroborated the injuries occurred the way the father indicated that they did. So he was,
Yeah.
they were in a sense the alibi.
Yeah.
Documents
They all
that
agreed.
I reviewed.
Right. They all agreed, oh yeah, he got hurt doing this or that. And, they lied. They basically lied.
Yeah, but okay, so I know that in the criminal case, everybody wanted Christopher Gregor to get much more than what he got, and we're still hoping he gets his prison punishment. But in the civil case, which, I hope that Brianna's following through with, like, why can't they, if he has had, problems with children in the past, that should be able to be brought up in the civil case.
Well,
I
it's
am not
my
a civil attorney,
understanding.
Toddy, but I do believe that is a very good point, and it probably will be.
The parameters are different in civil court.
Yeah.
So criminal and civil is very,
yes, very different. Very different. Yeah.
Right. And I was told that, DCP&P records are very hard to get. Like,
oh yeah,
even, for a judge or anybody to be able to view them, it's not an easy task.
no.
And, and who even knows if that old record of the other child exists anymore? It probably went away, like a lot of the other things that have happened.
I don't know about that.
Well, here we go. We're on a live stream right now, and we have somebody that has access to things. And I mean, twice you said, is it children? Is it plural? And I don't know if you heard Jennifer. Jennifer said plural. It's children. So I know that
two different cases. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Was it two different cases?
It was.
Oh my
It was.
So
wow.
Yeah. And
no indication. There's no mention of that in a summary.
I can't
that
hear
would be
you.
Interesting to know if it would be interesting to know if DCP&P had that information.
I don't get involved. I know you had sent me a Facebook friend request. I don't, just for me, I am on Facebook. And I want to mention this as well. My Facebook is extremely tight, and I don't have any of my colleagues on there. I don't have any of my judges on there, and I don't have DCP&P. I remember meeting you. I actually love you. I thought you were a hoot. And she was pissed about the pillow, and and there was a lot of like behind the scenes stuff walking over there, and why did we have to go there? And I get it. But I really don't like to mix that. My personal life, my child, he's 12 with autism, and I don't like to do that. But there will be some things, I believe, with a proper discovery, with Bree, and Rebecca, that they will find out. And I think that's where you guys have my suggestion or my advice to you is that you both, I know it's very hard, take a step back and let your civil attorney do a very good discovery, because when there's a will, there's a way, right? And if you go back into the one case that we know about, when there's one, there's maybe more. So it's almost a matter of you and Bree kind of releasing and letting go, and let the attorneys in your case handle that.
So do you feel that Bree's attorney will be able to get access to the other children involved in?
I don't know, because I don't know him or her personally. I would hope.
You got to tell them too that
civil attorneys don't really take cases unless there's a high likely chance that they will win.
Right.
That's the truth. Not like Meatball over in, Gregor's defense. I think, yeah, Meatball. Brianna gave me that name actually one day, and it just stuck. And, I knew he was a top defense. I knew the extent of the finances to get him and retain him. And I knew he was going to have a really hard time, especially proving murder, not proving murder, rather, and getting him off on that. But because the laws are so bound by certain things, I think the jury really had no choice. I know they were not, I did speak to a couple juror members way after, and they were just broken because they did want to do murder. So I think moving on, I think what I would do is I would ask those attorneys that are representing civil and state, can you look into other experiences with Mr. Gregor?
Right.
And family.
If you ever have any knowledge in a case, just talking in general, it's always a good idea to let the attorney know, so they can look into that avenue.
Right.
Sure. And we don't know, again, I don't, do too much with civil law. But most civil attorneys do, when you're filing something, rightfully so. I mean, let's all face it, there is no money that's going to be okay.
No.
That's right.
That's not why we're doing that.
That's right.
No.
It doesn't bring Corey back, and it doesn't
No.
fix his system either. Can it help? Sure. Like, for example, Rebecca, why was Brianna not given a CASA? Why didn't Corey have even a CASA?
Because he wasn't an out-of-home placement. Children are only assigned CASA workers if they're an out-of-home placement, I believe, or if there's court involvement.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree with that. Yeah, I've had a couple cases with CASAs that are in the home. Children are in the home and they still have their CASAs. I'm not saying CASA is the route to go.
Who refers them to CASA? DCP&P?
Yes, DCP&P would be the initial investigator that worked with Bree and family and company to recommend that CASA, because it's going in front of a judge and saying, Your Honor, we want A, B, C, and D. And one of those things is we would like a CASA worker involved. And I noticed there was none, correct? Rebecca, did you ever have a CASA on your case?
The investigations ended, pretty much right away. And there was no request for any kind of advocacy or support through CASA or any other court-appointed advocate at all.
No law guardian, none of that.
Initial investigations, referrals, cross referrals.
Okay. Again,
intake went in and made their assessment, and that was the end.
Yeah, but on the stand, from what I observed, Brianna made, and let's talk about this for a second. When Meatball was speaking to Brianna about drug use and whatever, I have great parents that have been reunified with their children that are in recovery. Let's make that very clear.
Right.
Where there's a way, and him ripping apart Bree on the stand as a mother and as an advocate, my heart, but she did very well. I was really proud of her that she stood she stood her ground. And I think that we need to stop that stigma. How do we stop that?
Bias and stigma.
Very much so.
Hand in hand.
I also felt that, it was unfair that Christopher's drug use didn't come into play. He was the person on trial.
Correct.
But we didn't talk about his bad behavior or his drug use.
Correct.
Or the fact that he failed a drug test and lost custody of Corey very quickly.
You.
To me.
To you.
And nobody talked about that.
A lot of people don't know, Rebecca, that DCP&P, you got custody of Corey.
Before DCP&P came into our lives, they weren't in our lives until Chris Gregor came around, okay? But prior to when Chris was about to come into Corey's life, Bree and I came to the conclusion that maybe I should take custody of Corey to fight this battle because she knew what it was going to be with him. Everybody's under this impression that Bree lost custody of Corey through the court, and that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
No, Bree and I went to court in North Jersey, Morris County Court, and Bree gave me custody on paper in front of a judge, and the judge plainly said to her, when you want your custody back, it's going to be just as simple as it was for me to do this. You come and that's what we do. She didn't lose custody of Corey, and that's what me, Paul, and everybody else are trying to say. It never happened that way. That's not what happened.
There's also information that DCP&P was involved with the father when a referral came in about drugs. And some DV related dynamics. And that point, they said that you were given custody, Rebecca.
Yes,
at that
Chris
point
lost,
again.
Chris
during
lost
DCP.
custody again shortly after, getting 50-50 custody. He lost it again because he was stalking Brianna, and someone called the police when they found him outside of her apartment. And when the police showed up, he had drugs and drug paraphernalia in his car and was arrested, and he lost custody. But that didn't come into court either. Why? I don't understand any of this.
It's frustrating. It's
is
extremely frustrating that they, certain things are permissible, some things are not. As you guys are aware, you live that, and knowing probably
anything Brianna did in life was allowed to be presented in court.
Correct.
And anything Chris did, we didn't get to hear about, which is so odd. Who was on trial? I felt like Bree was on trial.
Exactly.
It looked that way. Oh, optics.
It
looked that way.
Toddy, right?
It looked that way, optics. So we got a few questions in the chat. I just don't want to
Yeah, Toddy, because I can't read.
Nope, we're good. We're good. So I think this question was answered for Marissa. She came a little bit late. Marissa, check your tardy. You're tardy, Marissa. So I think the answer to the question about why Chris's drug use wasn't brought up, I think that Maddie, Olivia answered that. But there was another question about, so can you reintroduce yourself? The lady that's next to, I'm sorry. The woman that's next to Rebecca, just because there's a couple people came in a little bit late. Her name is Mindy. She's a friend and former DCP&P worker. Somebody answered the question already. They just answered the question. So the chat is answering the question.
What was Manny's answer? What was Manny's answer to the question? She answered the question
about Chris's former drug use.
Yeah, why wasn't it brought in?
The attorney wouldn't allow it. That
Correct.
The attorney stopped it
because it wasn't. It was either, like you said, expunged, and so therefore it disappears. So he had the support of his father to eliminate his criminal history.
There was a lot that was not admitted into court.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, I think, and the biggest thing I think for the chat and anybody with any kind of common sense is the fact that he had past history with harming children. And,
right.
If that could be proven, that might be the thing that changes everything at the expense of Corey, unfortunately.
What was it?
Yeah, so we need to, there's a fine line, right? Because that is a case that should have been brought up with DCP&P at that time. And I do know that they were involved. Probably the case that Rebecca is mentioning. But I find, and this is very common actually, we all struggle with trauma, right? We have there. I don't know anyone that says they haven't. Well, write a book. Right. Because we all. I mean, trauma could be from a divorce or from domestic violence. We don't know what was going on behind the scenes in that case, and I wonder if there was more investigation done by the division at that point, not so much the child advocate, because we kind of come in after, would Corey still be here? That's the one question I constantly think about if there was a investigation and dad wasn't doing behind the scenes whatever he was I don't know. He just
100% sure Corey would be here if Chris Gregor would have kept his fucking hands to himself.
Amen. So I I'm tossed on that because as a mother myself, a single mother, with not an abusive ex-husband, is very supportive. I think that we all have struggles, as I said, that go on that we just don't know about. And that's why I think what happened when Gallucci was talking and with Brianna on the stand, oh, well, what is this text message? What?
Yeah, no, he was horrible. And then when you found out, and guys in the chat, just in case you don't know, so Gallucci was the lawyer for Chris Gregor, the one that they call Meatball. Just so you know, and if you look at the history,
I wonder if DCP&P closed the case when the child was safe because she left the state, and the mother was considered a protective mother because she took the child and left the state. So we don't know what the findings were, whether it was unfounded, unsubstantiated, substantiated or not, and they appealed it or not.
That's something that Brianna's lawyers could also.
Yeah, and they could have made a referral to the state just to provide resources if the mother wanted, because she didn't do anything. So there's no reason for DYFS to necessarily stay involved with the mother unless she was somehow involved in any of the maltreatment or allowed it to be permitted. So if she took protective stance as soon as it happened and realized it and left the state, DCP&P might just close the case because there's no services necessarily left to provide to the mother.
So can I ask just a question that probably I would think that the chat might be asking too? Jennifer, how did you know about it? Did you know about it because Rebecca shared the information, or did you know about it because it's actually there?
No, I had heard about it from a colleague of mine, actually. Yeah, I heard about it from a colleague of mine around that time of case. I was not specifically involved in that. What my question was is why was the child allowed to reside, I believe, with the Gregors? And I'm not sure if someone can clarify, but that is what I understand. And then, why was that not brought to trial?
Right.
Well, I think the answer definitely, Rebecca, you said that you knew a little bit about the case and about the case previous to the child, with the child or an ex-girlfriend or something of Chris's, right? But that's hearsay. But when somebody hears about it from inside of the inside of the child protective custody thing, isn't that more than hearsay? Because then there was a file somewhere that existed. Confidential.
So, Toddy, I'll say it to you like this, with all due respect. You mean to tell me a DCP&P caseworker goes into a home, finds whatever, findings on that case, and then the mother gets up and goes to Timbuktu, and nothing's followed up from that? She didn't suspect anything going on with that child at that time in that home?
That case, you don't have the details on, so we can't really speculate as to what it occurred and whether, in fact, the case was closed. I said there's a possibility that potentially if a mother finds out her child was abused by a paramour, a boyfriend, a partner, and she does not do anything about it, if she brings it to the police attention, the appropriate people attention, pediatrician does the right thing, this has never been involved, she has no history, and she decides, I'm leaving the state, I'm going to live with my family, I don't know, I'm getting out of here, far away from this gentleman who there may have been some DV control issues going on as well. And they may, if they went out of their way, ask if she wants services and make a child welfare referral to follow up and see if she wants services. And likely she didn't want services, and maybe if she did, they did that but this is all speculation. We don't know anything.
Right.
But
and we're actually really not talking about the mothers, right? We're talking about Chris and his behavior.
But what it leaves us is with Christopher Gregor on a list, whether it was substantiated or some concerns, whatever the findings were.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
it
Like
leaves
there's
that-
at least a yellow light there, right? So shouldn't
Right.
that be listen, you guys, I couldn't even do what you do because I counseled with kids that thought they knew it all, not little innocent children that are looking in the eyes for safety. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to you guys. But like that yellow light there should have been a warning because they didn't know anything about it until after the fact. Like
a thorough
warning.
check of Chris Gregor's carry check, a child abuse registry inquiry, or child, just check our records, should reveal every involvement that they have. So a worker, an intake, would definitely do a background check, and they likely, would find something if it still appeared. There's new policy about you can expunge cases if they're unfounded. So that's that could be a whole nother podcast, how, the 5-tier substantiations. I'm not sure how many tiers it is now, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Well, we were told about the other case against him by the social worker who was given Corey's case. But real quickly, David Gregor got her off the case. He didn't like it.
That is correct, Rebecca.
So she went away real quick with no explanation. She was no longer the caseworker. And she's the one who told me, you do know he has an open case with Katie's son. And after
that is not hearsay. That is not hearsay.
And
right.
It happened, and everybody knows it happened. And then, the child's mother, after Corey passed away, all of the ex-girlfriends came out, and none of them had anything good to say about Chris. And the mother of this child told us some of the ways Chris would abuse him. And do you know they're the same things that he did to Corey? The same exact pattern.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I think it
would
surprise me if it was different. The same exact thing doesn't surprise me. But there's when you say that, like we're all thinking about. So the parents knew, and you've said 100 times, Rebecca, that the dad knew.
They lied. The parents and the family members, when they were questioned, when a referral would go in to the hotline, and they were sent over to the Gregor's house to see Corey, everybody in that house lied and said, nope, nothing happened here. It happened over at that other house, at our house. And they would talk about us and, build themselves up because everybody had master's degrees and grandpa was a highly decorated state trooper, blah, blah.
They made counter referrals is what they did.
Yeah, they just put the focus on us. And so these DCP&P workers, I don't want to call them social workers. I think they were previous Walmart door greeters or something.
I love you, Rebecca. Just saying.
But they were just, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but they just believed everything that the retired state trooper had to say, and everyone in the house with the master's degrees and all that. Because obviously, if you have $1 million home and everybody in it has a master's degree, there could be no abuse happening in that home, right? Doesn't happen there.
And I think it's also really important because even if one more person hears this, the lawyer, what's his name again?
Meatball?
No, the lawyer on the other side, the Meatball. Yeah, but what's his name?
Mario Gallucci.
Yeah,
Mario
Gallucci. You guys look him up and look what his son was capable of.
Thank you, Toddy.
I was
just going to bring that up.
Look at what his son is capable of and see what kind of man maybe this guy is, because his son, and you could look it up, his son had charges against him. There was how many men and one woman that
Five.
they
Three.
Okay.
Three.
So look
And-
into
Well, there
that,
was
guys.
3 and then
that's
2
Mario
behind.
Bellucci's son, his pride and joy, his son.
Yeah.
So look that up. That's the lawyer that they got for Chris Gregor. That
Yeah.
tells you something about
And
character right
the
there.
funny thing is, those 3 men, including Gallucci's son, drugged this woman. Well, Chris
Mm-hmm.
Gregor has a history of doing that to women too. How about that? You know, and I always said if you looked at Gallucci's kid, he would have to drug and take something from someone because nobody's willingly giving it up to that kid. I'm sorry. Sorry, not that.
Yeah,
that
and
needs to
Scotty,
be,
thank
but-
you for bringing that up because I wanted to, if I could, for a couple of minutes, talk about that. So children are not born evil. They're
No.
not.
I might have another. I'm gonna let you go with that because you have another point. But at some other point,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe we could talk about that a little
yeah,
bit.
I'm going to say it as a in the child advocate perspective. So when a child is brought up with love and they're, everything is met with what their needs are, right? But when a child is enabled, I'm going to use the word enabled repeatedly and never held accountable for any of his actions, we become inferior. The child becomes inferior, and then that child becomes a teenager, and then that teenager becomes a man. And then we look into generational abuse, which many can talk about. The buck stopped when Corey came into Mr. Gregor's world. And here's why. He didn't have control, you see. So in my experience in 20 years of working with all kinds of children, trauma, it runs the gamut. In my experience, I have noticed that children that have been enabled and coddled to the point of never doing anything wrong, instead of letting them fall on their face, dusting them off and saying, get back out there once in a while.
Are you talking about David Gregor in regards to Chris? See, I read that differently. I read that he held his kids to an impossible standard. I don't know this man. This is the way that I read that. Because when I saw it on trial, I recognized something in my own family, right away. And he was talking about Corey and the sports. And I said to myself, this kid might not even like sports. That's the first thing I said out loud because of how excited he was about, I'm talking about David, making his grandson somebody in a picture. Not who his grandson was, but this picture of a grandson. And I recognized that right away in David Gregor's behavior. And I hit the nail on the head, apparently, with that. So I think that his sons have fallen, his family, I think they've done that. But I think you're absolutely right that the only shame that the kids ever felt was inside the house. They were never meant to deal with consequences outside the home. Correct. But I definitely think that they were afraid and they feared inside the home from their dad. I think that.
What is your take, Toddy, on the mother's phone call that she had? I believe he was in jail and he was coaching mom to say what she was. And then
I think that she doesn't have a voice in that family at all. I think that she is somebody that was there to play a specific role, like a picture again, the perfect mom and everything. I don't think that she had anything more than that. She could obviously be very manipulated by everything because, my parents wouldn't have let me get away with that. The average parent wouldn't have co-signed that behavior, and the way that they attacked. The mother was especially loud in her attack against Bree because she was the one that I heard right away that said that, and I don't know that Chris said this or not, but I know that the mother put it in everybody's ear that Chris supposedly screamed crying to her, what did she do to him? What did she do to him? Which set a narrative, right? So thankfully the narrative, on the other side was just as loud and had more proof. You know what I'm saying? Because people saw who Rebecca was, and people saw who the Gregors were. I think in the trial, people saw who was right and who was wrong. And that just came out.
In the hallway in the courtroom, a group of people who were there got to see the Gregors and their interactions, Mr. and Mrs. Gregor. And there's, interesting observations there.
There's right here in the comment, because you guys can't see the comment. Yeah. It says Mr. Gregor was overheard calling Mrs. Gregor an idiot in court during the verdict. So that was from Maddie Olivia. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted, because I know you guys.
Something you stupid. I think it was.
I think she said to him, I guess, I don't know if it was sentencing, whatever.
Did we do good?
Yeah, she looked at him and said, "Is that good?" And he said, "No, you fucking moron," or something. And that's not good, or whatever.
He cursed. I'm not sure exactly what he said because I saw it, but he definitely cursed, and he cursed directly at her and called her maybe a biatch, if I remember.
Well, people obviously heard it. Maddie Olivia, she wrote that down, and she was somebody that you guys mentioned before that she's
a good girl. Yeah, she's powerful.
There's several people. There's several people that were there in the hallway that maybe recall. I can't recall specifically, Maddie, what it was, but I know that there was a curse word in it, and it was very derogatory. It was in public, which is something that if you see that kind of treatment in public, you wonder, well, what do they say or do behind closed doors? Yeah. So we were really sort of taken back, and that's why we all shared and said, did you just see that? Because it was he showed his true colors, his temper a little bit.
And you know what the weird thing is? Like, he didn't have any problem doing that publicly. Bad enough how she must have felt, right? Which I don't feel sorry for her, but he didn't even see a problem with what he was saying. So how normal is that for him, right?
Right.
She didn't react at all. There was no reaction.
No, I think there was a lot of balls that were dropped in this. And from a lot, with no disrespect to DCP&P, but I'm going to say it anyway, to child advocacy and to judges. Don't even get me started on what's his name, Bradshaw. Anyway, we need to change. We need this all to change, and it will. It will, because anything, I don't share this story very often. I'm going to share it really very quickly. So after the trial, I needed sleep. I needed to spend time with my 11-year-old autistic little boy. I needed to shut my phone off. I needed just to be a mom. And I remember at one point my son saying, I didn't get into detail, but he knew I was with Corey and his family. And he called it a court, because that's what he understands as court. And one day we're on the floor and he's drawing, and he has a hard time holding crayons because he's on the spectrum. And he's drawing something, and he said, "How do you spell Corey?" And I said, Corey. And he said, "Okay, mommy, we're going to make a picture of Corey." So we made a picture for Corey. And I said, "Okay, son, where are we going with this?" He said, "We're going to bring it to grandma." Now, remember, I had just lost my mom, which is hence the reason why I didn't say yes to this case. And we trying to, hold on a minute. So in church on that Sunday, my son brings up this picture for Corey, and he puts it onto where our pulpit in our church is. And on the bottom of it, my son had written, "Grandma, please keep love over Corey."
Oh, goodness.
And then next to it, it said, "Corey, we got you." And that was powerful. And I'll tell you why, because that's from a child.
Right.
It's different when we all as adults are trying to process this, which I don't think I ever will, because I'm mad and I'm angry. But I also have, in the meantime, in the last year, found grace. I found grace for DCP&P. I'm not sure if people are aware, but their caseloads right now are through the roof.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
But
Through
you know
the
what?
roof.
That's not my problem. They still need
It's
to do
not. I was
Yeah.
just going to say that, Rebecca. It has nothing to do with you, me.
But it
Corey.
does. The problem is it fails people. So it does. It does. And there's no, then it doesn't, then that service shouldn't be in existence. People shouldn't be able to count on it or go by the rules of it.
Right.
Because the
You
thing
know.
is, they went by the rules of a system that basically should be defunct according to what you're saying, because there's not enough people, yet they went by the rules and look at what happened. So I mean,
think
there's
caseload size is very closely monitored. Caseload size among workers who are identified as a critical issue, and they're monitoring that closely. And I'm not sure. The information I have is that caseload size is something that has been under control. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if that's changed recently, but my understanding is like there are certain things that are monitored by oversight committees. Since the lawsuit, DCP&P was sued, or DIFUS was sued and became DCP&P. But
Right.
yes, it's closely monitored their caseload size. So I'd be very surprised if that were the case, that they're overwhelmed with it. Now, in terms of what the workers have to do in those cases that they have, that might be something else in terms of how much time can they spend with families engaging with them versus are they on the computer doing their mandated paperwork and documentation, and you have to be able to juggle all that and et cetera. But I would be really surprised if caseload sizes were out of control, because that was a major component of the initial lawsuit back in 2005 or 3 or something.
So my question, I guess, to you as a retired DCP&P, what is the average caseload of a DCP&P caseworker as we speak?
As we speak now, I don't know exactly what the caseloads are, but they have specific documented caseloads for investigators, for permanency workers, for ongoing workers, and it's been deemed as manageable. And I can't recall the details. I've been retired since 2017. I don't know if anybody's live that wants to answer, if there's any active workers watching. But if I remember correctly, they can only have a certain amount of investigations per month. They can have only a certain amount of families per month. They have to complete their investigations within 60 days, et cetera. There's a lot of protocol, a lot of policy, and it's monitored in the computer system that does quality reviews.
So in Brianna's case with the DCP&P caseworker, did he not admit that there was abuse going on with Corey?
There was no substantiation of abuse of Corey by his father, according to the records I've seen, according to what I've seen. So no, they didn't substantiate until the last referral was of his passing. That was a substantiated abuse. But there was no, there was a protection plan put in with his drugs
Right.
referral, but there's no substantiation on him at all. With
What
regards
about-
to the end?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tiny.
What about, like, wasn't there something brought up about the treadmill? Like, there was something, I mean, I guess I'm missing the question here, because I mean, Rebecca and everybody made so many phone calls and complaints about the bruises and the pictures and I mean, and they knew about the treadmill, because didn't they just say don't do it anymore? Something stupid like that?
Right, because he had done the same thing prior. That this treadmill incident that you saw the video, that wasn't the first time he used the treadmill. He did this very early on when he was living with his parents in Monroe, and they had the shared custody, and Corey would be over there 3 days with us for 4. And he had used the treadmill another time. And they just told Chris, don't do that anymore.
Right.
Don't do that anymore. They didn't look at it as him abusing him. They just looked at it as if, he didn't know better, so he let him play on a treadmill. So, don't do that again. And that was it.
I don't know if you're interested in maybe another podcast where we can talk specifically.
Yeah,
we can
I
talk
mean,
about it. You should
we can-
consider it.
yeah,
we can talk
could always
specifically
talk
about
more about
in
other
detail because there's details that but you have to
there's
decide.
just a lot that didn't come into court, and that's why
Right.
I'm writing the book, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here, because I want everybody. Do you know, to this day, today is 1 year since Chris was sentenced to state prison, as you all know.
25 years.
But
It's not
to
long
this
enough.
I'm still going on YouTube and arguing with people that are saying like ridiculous things about Brianna and saying, oh, you know, that treadmill video didn't, that treadmill incident didn't kill Corey. Nobody said it did.
You know, that treadmill video didn't.
Why is that repeating? I don't know what's going on.
Because I think that you have a YouTube on, and that's the echo.
I must have.
Yeah, are you getting an echo?
I heard one echo from Rebecca. That
Is
was
it
it,
okay
but
now?
now it's gone. I don't hear it now. No.
I'm good now.
Yeah, sometimes when you have your YouTube, just so you know, it
I
will
think
echo
my
back. So
dog's
you always
done
have to
it.
shut off your YouTube and just run from your StreamYard.
Real quick, I don't know if you know, because I don't even know how long we've been on, but I'd like to start reading at least my June and July letter. We can, if anybody has any questions or comments on that, we could do that. Then we can talk a bit more. And then my August letter, I'd like to be the closing of what we're doing here, if that's okay with everybody, if we do it that way.
Yeah, so we've been running for an hour. Do you not see a live clock over your friend's head that's sitting next to you, a red clock?
Tani.
Oh, yeah. An hour and a minute, it looks like, in 42
There you go.
seconds.
There you go. That's your and then if you wanted to, Rebecca, I don't know, on the right-hand side of your screen, there's the comments. I know that you can't always see them, but if it says private chat, then you need to go over to the comments. So if
I
it
can
says
see
private,
them now. I just clicked on it, I think.
okay. So that's your those are your comments. And guys, Rebecca's new to this, so we're giving her a lot of grace because first of all, that's not the most important thing. Getting the message out is the most important thing. But that's why I'm kind of paying attention to the chat because this is her first time. So we do have a question that says, okay, so here's a question for you, Rebecca, and I think a lot of people want to know. Do you know if he actually reads those letters that you've sent him? And this is from Just Me is asking.
To my knowledge, I've been told that he does.
Okay. Guys, if you do have a question, go ahead and please put a question mark, put a bunch of question marks in front of the question so that I can see them and I'll ask, just so you know.
Thank you, Toddy, because I can't see the questions either, love.
If you went over to comments, you might be in private chat. In private chat, I think it was just you that said, can you hear me? But if you go over to the right-hand side in comments and click on that, you should be able to at least see the comments. I don't think that we can comment on the comments except verbally. But anyway.
No,
I trust you, Toddy.
All right.
Don't do that. All right. So if it's okay, I know some people may have already heard June and July's letters, but I think there are some people who didn't. So I think I'm going to read June's letter first, if that's okay with everybody, if I do that.
Yeah, you get a lot of love in the chat right now saying that they want to hear the letters. They love the letters. And I know that they have to dig at him, Ronnie says.
They have what?
That they have to dig at him.
Yeah.
You know, that they get to him.
Oh, I know they do. I mean, he might not admit it, but I know Chris well enough and I know how to get to him. I've done it the whole time, since I met him, and I know they get to him. So real quick, my June letter, and like I said, I know some of you have already heard it, so I hope I'm not boring you, but I wrote,
Never.
I don't send the letters at the same time each month. I might send, like, May's letter may have been May 1st. In June, I didn't send till June 25th. I left him kind of hanging, wondering if I was going to write. So I wrote, hey there, did you think I gave up? Not a chance. I'm here until you or I take our last breath. It's so hot, even with air conditioning, almost like hell. I guess we should get used to the heat because if we don't admit our wrongs and confess our sins, we will feel the heat. Do you believe in God? Have you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior? I can't imagine having done what you did and having to live with that guilt. It must be torture. Don't get it twisted. I don't feel bad for you. I know you feel joy knowing the torture you're putting me and Brianna and the rest of my family through. We're hanging in there. We're not as weak as you thought. We are like soldiers in the infantry. We fight, we survive. I wish you would have allowed yourself to get to know me, Corey, and my family. Instead, you made up this story about us to make yourself look good. You didn't have to do that. Although Corey was conceived in a way that was not traditional, I was able to allow myself to think maybe you were just young, dumb, and under the influence of something. I was hopeful that you and your family would be a positive influence in Corey's life. Corey was a beautiful child. He was smart, loving, and thoughtful way before you came around. My family taught him to love all people, no matter the color of their skin, body type, or sexual orientation. You came into the picture and tried to make Corey like you. The hate you have for Brianna and my family is only because we told the truth about you, and we wouldn't allow you and your family to take control. You know we were good to Corey. You know he was loved and taken care of. You had to make your family and everyone believe Brianna and my family were bad so you could look better. I know if you lie enough, you start believing your lies, and I think that's what happened with you. I know your parents aren't stupid people. I mean, we all heard about the highly decorated career of your father and everyone in the family having a master's degree in something. They must have thought at some point that Corey was 5 when they met him. We had cared for him and never had DCP&P involvement until you came around. Didn't they find that odd? Especially your father, the highly decorated, educated, retired, Homeland Security, blah, blah, blah. He was trained to investigate and see things that may not align with what is being told. Did he ever say to you that this is strange? The people who raised Corey never had problems until you came around? I often wonder what the conversations were about between you and your dad. He had known, he had to know you were lying at some point, but protecting his family and reputation meant more than protecting Corey, his grandson, his first grandchild. I don't know how any of you sleep at night. I know if Brianna or any of my children harmed a child, especially one of our own, they would be on their own. I would not support them in any way. I think your family had so much hate for us because of all the lies you told them that they couldn't love Corey. It's very sad. Corey loved your family in the very beginning. He very quickly learned he was not accepted. He often told me how nobody really hugged him or said, I love you. He said he would say, I love you to you, and you wouldn't respond. It broke his heart. He only wanted you to love him and be proud of him. He wanted a dad. I hope one day you realize what you did. You took the life of a child who would have done amazing things. He would have made us all proud. He definitely would have gotten a master's degree and beyond. You are sitting in prison, and that I'm sure is a far cry from how you're used to living. We are living a nightmare daily, and I know that makes you happy, but we are free. Corey is free from the abuse and daily pain you inflicted, but he should be here to see the justice. I don't agree with your sentence, and I've made that clear. Any appeal you file, we will be there to be certain you don't get out. You are a threat to society and will hurt others again if you are free. You are a habitual offender. You had priors that didn't make it into this case, but we all know your temper. It's documented. You should stay right where you are until you take your last breath. I'm including my phone number again in this again in case you prefer calling instead of email. Oh, just a thought. July 4th is fast approaching. I wonder if you can hear the fireworks where you are. Do you have those awful thin windows covered in who knows what that you can barely see the light through? Damn, that must suck being locked up like a caged animal. Speaking of animals, do you miss Peyton, your dog? Anyway, that's all for now. Have a nice day. So that was June's letter.
That was a good ending.
Yeah.
So
And
give
then
me
I
just
have-
1 second here. I'm sorry. So Beauty
Mhm.
Asian Queen, welcome to the comments. Welcome to the live. So this isn't Chris Watts, just so you know. This is Christopher Gregor, and this is about Corey Micciolo, who was 6 years old when his dad unalived him, and his grandma here was reading letters that she writes every month to the man that unalived her grandson, his biological dad. So that's what this is about. And please stay with us. Stay with us.
You can do some research by following Justice for Corey on Facebook and Rebecca also.
Yeah, can you hear me now? This
Yes.
right here. Like and subscribe, guys. Please, anybody in the comments, anybody that's on the replay crew that hears this, please like and subscribe. This is an important message because Corey's no longer with us, but this case continues because they're trying to pass laws here so that this doesn't happen again. So we have to keep it. We have to keep it going. Especially, you hear the news. You hear one kid after another kid failed by CPS. This is how we have to keep it going. In Corey's name, there should be no more. We have to. This is the way to do it. So please like, subscribe, and share this message out on YouTube.
So Rebecca created her own channel to continue
Yes.
Justice for Corey, and it's called "Can You Hear Me Now?"
Yeah, it's here.
Exclamation, question mark. So it's really great to continue on and see what Rebecca is going to be doing in the future.
So this is out on YouTube now under this channel. Can you hear me
It's
now?
new.
So
It's being worked on.
but it's also on Facebook too, right?
I believe so. It should be. I
So-
think so.
So guys, if you've just stumbled upon this, just click the subscribe button, because this is the channel that it's on. So
My bad. Didn't know. Thought it was your
no,
channel.
that's cool. That's cool.
So I'm going to go ahead with July's letter, and then we could talk again in a little bit if anybody wants to. But so this is dated July 15th at 7:43 a.m. Chris, I watched the treadmill video again yesterday. You picked my baby up like a piece of trash. You bit him on the head. For several seconds. You could see him almost crouch down to avoid the bite. My baby kept running. He knew the punishment would be severe if he didn't. I get more angry, sad, and depressed when I see what you did to him. How do your parents stand by you? I know a lot of people think the treadmill incident is what killed Corey. The media got it wrong, but that's how it's been reported. I know you were pissed off the morning Brianna dropped Corey off. You knew he told the doctors what you were doing to him, and you knew if you went to the child abuse exam that day, it would be revealed. You had been up all night with some girl you met on one of the many hookup sites you frequented. You were tired, but mostly you were angry at Corey for telling the truth about you. I can imagine the beating started as Corey walked in. I have to think you delivered the final blow early in the morning and left him to suffer for hours. We know you were texting two of your hookups and eating McDonald's as Corey lay there dying. I know Corey was thinking about his mommy and me, even though we were not there. I know Corey knew we loved him, and he died knowing how much my family loved him. When he was around 2, I started telling him, even if I wasn't with him, I was always in his heart, and he was in mine. I know that comforted him as he was dying. I told him, wherever he is, if he looked up at the moon, I'll be looking at the same moon. I am still trying to absorb all of this. The abuse, his death. You and your family are made of ice, so cold, no emotion. Nobody shed a tear for Corey. Sickening. He was a child, their grandchild. I'm wondering, after the final blow, when you realized you went too far, did Corey say anything? Did he cry? Ask you to stop? I saw you in the emergency room when you realized he was going to die. The staff probably thought you were upset about that, but I saw it for what it was. You were thinking, oh shit, how can daddy fix this?
Mhm.
Left Corey alone to die, and although that was a scumbag thing to do, we are glad your face was not the last face he saw as he took his last breath. You ran away, and we all know your dad got you an attorney immediately. You left Corey dying and ran to Tennessee. There was speculation that you were heading to New Mexico or something. Who knows? I look at pictures of Corey and I can't imagine wanting to harm him. He was so kind and loving. Sometimes I can still hear him saying, "Hey, Gma." I miss him so much. Do you comprehend what you did? I know you put a notice of appeal in and you have until the end of July to file it. I'm sure your attorney will ask for more time to go over transcripts and other stuff. What will you base the appeal on? Ineffective counsel? Mario did the best he could. It's not easy defending someone he knows is guilty. There wasn't much he could do. So if not ineffective counsel, then maybe the two cases being combined. But Judge Ryan thought long and hard about that and allowed it. Can't think of anything else you would appeal. I hear you were keeping busy in there, sucking up to the guards, etc. Do they know why you're there? Or do you tell them Bree did something and you're going to prove it? I'm shocked. It's been almost a year in prison and nobody has beaten your ass yet. Guess you're in protective custody. Got to protect the criminals. Corey wasn't protected. Do you feel anything? Guilt, sadness? I doubt it. I wish you could spend an hour in my head. You'd be sitting in a corner rocking back and forth. My thoughts are like scrambled eggs, all mixed up. You caused this. My mental incapacity. Not sure if you know, but just prior to you killing Corey, I was injured at work. I had a spinal fusion surgery that failed. I was evaluated for disability due to not being able to stand, sit for long periods of time. I was already depressed due to the injury and not being able to take care of myself. Then you killed Corey, and that made my depression and anxiety worse. When I had the evaluation for disability, it involved a mental evaluation. I won't share the entire evaluation, but what I thought was a physical disability diagnosis ended up being as much a mental disability. PTSD, nightmare disorder, anxiety, depression. You did this to me. I'm on medication that is given to soldiers who suffer from PTSD. The nightmares wake me up. They seem real. You're in them. I know you are happy you did this, but it's not stopping me. I can no longer work, but I'm keeping busy. I make sure Corey's story is heard, and I'm keeping his memory alive. He was so much more than the boy from the treadmill video. Send me a pic of your new home from your iPad. I'd love to see what you've done with the place. Talk soon. Have a nice day. Rebecca, Corey's Gmom, whatever. So that was July. I always send a picture of Corey with my emails and letters. Not because he deserves to have a picture of Corey, but I hope that maybe they haunt him. I mean, I don't know, because I don't think he's able to. I mean, he's not accepted that he's done anything wrong. So I don't know if, if the pictures do anything to him. I'm not sure, but I just send them because it makes me feel better. So
Jamie said, Jamie Milconi and Mayhem said, Chris would freaking hate that you have this channel. I'm here for that.
Yeah, no, I know. Chris doesn't want anybody talking about him or what he did, and if I'm not mistaken, when David Gregor took the floor at sentencing, he was supposed to be telling their side, and I've yet to hear it. So I'd love to hear their side. I'm still waiting for, a phone call offering condolences for my loss or Brianna's loss. We never got that. They never said anything.
I'm sorry, Rebecca, is it Mindy or Marissa? What is your name? DCPP. Mindy, that's what I thought. Has it ever been your experience that you've ever gotten or heard of an apology letter or an explanation from a murderer's family?
Well, fortunately, I haven't had any deaths on my caseload. And since there's active litigation, I doubt there will be any apology, any kind of written statements. There's active litigation right now, civil. So I don't think that there would be an apology.
Right.
So
I agree. I know I've never,
and in normal situations, a death of a child, accidental, etc., families would come together and they would be so sorry, crying. This is a pathological family, and this was a murder. And no, a lot of times, apologies don't happen. In this case, it didn't.
No.
Yeah, I've never myself. I just wanted your opinion on that because I've never heard.
They're still protecting him. They're still protecting him, and they're still actively doing anything in their power. They're filing the appeal, I'm sure paying for everything, and he supporting him at the very end.
Maddie Olivia wrote in the comments, well, he did at one point try to put a hit out on Bree from behind bars before the trial. So he probably
did, and that didn't come out either.
Yeah, that's important to note. That's important.
Do you want to share that? It's in a brief way. Does Maddie want to just share how that was discovered? So you just say this, but how was that discovered? And it was definitely a fact, is my understanding.
It was.
That was.
Rebecca.
Yeah, the prosecutor's office was brought to their attention.
Yep.
And we were informed, and we had some police protection for about a week after. The reason he wasn't charged, from our understanding, we were told because no money exchanged hands and there was no plan of how to do it. So they just chalked it up to just jailhouse talk. I don't know. I still think it should have been brought up.
They took action, and it was serious enough to take action, or else they would have been liable. So
I still wouldn't put it past him trying to do something even now. He's mad, but he's going to wait till after his appeal, I'm sure, so he doesn't get in trouble.
You were told by the prosecutor, I guess, is what
Yes.
Maddie Olivia says.
That's what Rebecca just Rebecca just told the story.
Yeah, we were told by.
Yeah, but she answered, so I just wanted you to know that she answered.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie.
Has there been a gag order, Rebecca, on you or Bree or any of the family from their side?
Not that
And I asked that for a reason. You have no gag order, correct? Okay,
No.
perfect.
There's no
So this right
no
here,
correspondence.
this channel, you're a warrior. You continue on. We'll support you. As long as you don't have anything opposing from, I can't even call it a grandfather. I struggle with that word.
I don't call them that. That's just
no. I have a really.
He's Mr. Gregor Sr.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I just state trooper. That's what I call him, among other things. But
I work with a lot of law enforcement, tons. And when this case came out, you had a lot of law enforcement support, not in support of that. And or I call him It. That's my name for him, is It. And I want you to understand that you have much more support than you even know. You have a ton of child advocates that are behind you and Bree. You have a ton of child advocates that are, would stop whatever they're doing to assist you in any way, shape, or form. And you have a huge support system, and I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. I told you that earlier. I think what you're doing takes great courage. and strength. And I don't think anybody, I can't see the chat, but I don't think anyone, including Toddy, would say, girl, stop. We're not doing that today. No, we're here. Right. And you need to continue.
Yeah, hang on. My dog's having a problem with something. So that's why I keep jumping up.
It's okay, Toddy. You need to just continue this for you and for Corey and for your family. And I honor you. I really mean that.
Thank you. I did this on my own because I felt like, you know, Justice for Corey is Bree's group that she created with a lot of, you know, people helping her. And I feel like August 2nd of last year, Justice for Corey just fizzled out. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it. It just kind of stopped. Nobody was posting. Nobody was, I felt like, I mean, it causes me anxiety to think that nobody will talk anymore. Like everybody's going to forget. Do you know what I mean? And I had to do something because I can't just post on that group. I don't have freedom to do things there. And I needed to do something because I was so fearful that Corey's going to be forgotten. And I can't handle that. I can't ever think that, you know, Corey may be forgotten. I can't have that happen. At least not while I'm still living. He's not going to be forgotten. I'm going to be here. I'm going to talk. I'm going to tell the truth 110% as I know it. And, you know, I just needed to do this. I was hopeful that a lot of the followers and Justice for Corey would maybe follow me. I haven't seen it yet. I don't have that many subscribers. I was hopeful.
Please, if you can support, if you want to support Rebecca, please subscribe to her channel. Share with your coworkers, you know, your contacts, any friends you have, you know, Justice for Corey people, supporters all over the world. Please subscribe to the channel and follow and watch. There's going to be a lot more content. This is just the very, very beginning. There's going to be really, really interesting things that are going to be revealed on here. And, you know, Rebecca is just doing so much. You're going to want to get updates, you know, Rebecca's book, Corey's Law, you know, Justice for Corey, you know, everything that's going on. So, you know, please support the channel and tune in. I'm gonna be here as often as she wants me to. We can talk like real specific about DCP&P policy, and also I'm available to answer any questions if anyone has a struggle or experiencing any kind of if they have any questions or if I can help them anyway. I would just be giving my opinion, you know, based on my 35 years plus experience doing intake investigations and management. So preferably not, you know, online, but I've helped a couple of people. They've reached out to me and I'd be happy to do that. So Rebecca's got a big announcement now. Okay, so she's going to move forward and we're going to switch gears for a minute. Rebecca's got an announcement.
So as you all know, I write to Chris Gregor every month religiously. I've been writing to him every month since he went to state prison in August of last year. That's going to change because I can't do it anymore. I have to stop. So today's letter, I did it today because it was the 1-year anniversary of sentencing. So that's why I chose today to send this letter to him. And this is my goodbye to Chris Gregor and my farewell letter. And I've titled it the Farewell to the Monster in My Head. So my August and final letter starts out to Chris. This is a little something I've titled Farewell to the Monster in My Head. I won't write his name because you don't deserve to read it. I won't say yours because that's not what I call you. You murdered my 6-year-old grandson. You ripped him out of this world in the most brutal, senseless, unforgivable way. I've written to you each month, not because you deserve to hear from me, but because I needed to scream into the void you left behind. I wanted you to feel the weight of what you did, the weight we carry every single day. But here's the truth. You'll never feel what we feel. You'll never know what it's like to bury a child who did nothing but trust and love the world. You'll never understand the destruction you caused because people like you are empty inside. You didn't just kill a little boy, you shattered an entire family. And don't think for 1 second that the blame rests on your shoulders alone. I hold your parents, your family, and anyone who enabled you just as responsible. Whatever broken, soulless environment you came from helped create the monster you became. The silence, the excuses, the blind eyes, they all paved the road to my grandson's death. They are complicit. They raised this. They protected this. I have spent too many days letting your name live in my mouth, your face in my mind, your act of evil in my bones. This is the last letter you will ever receive from me. I will not waste one more word, not one more drop of energy on you. You are not worth it. You never were. I will never forgive you. I will never forget what you did. But I am done giving you access to my grief. I choose now to take that pain and protect what little peace I have left. I will carry my grandson's love with me, not your shadow. You are nothing to me now. You never will be again. Do not expect another letter. I am finished. I will continue my work to keep my grandson's memory alive. I will tell his story. I pray every appeal you file is denied. I pray you get released in the near future in a cadaver bag. You don't deserve to get out and live. It's my belief that you should get what you give, especially when it comes to harming children. I say children because my grandson wasn't your first victim, although the others lived to tell their story. A year ago today, I sat in a courtroom in Ocean County watching you, waiting for an ounce of remorse or a tear to fall from your dead eyes. It never came. You did shake your head in disbelief when I spoke the truth about you. I told the truth about you and your family when I read my impact statement. I wanted to say more, but was convinced the judge would give you a lesser sentence if I did. If I knew then what I know now, I would have said so much more. Your dad should win an award for taking the stage that day and trying to redeem the Gregor name. Ha ha. Poor guy. Everybody could see right through him. Maybe he should have said we miss our grandson or offered condolences to my daughter and the rest of my family. But in true Gregor fashion, Mr. Highly Decorated State Trooper instead takes the floor and talks about all the good your family did for my grandson. Well, Mr. Officer, my grandson is dead, and he was very much alive before you people came along. I cursed the judge under my breath for allowing your dad to take the floor, but then realized maybe it wasn't so bad. Your dad let the world know what they were already thinking. My grandson didn't mean anything to you or your family. He was a mistake in your eyes and theirs, and your dad was going to fix this mistake as he had done so many times in the past. But this time it cost a 6-year-old boy his life, and you all have to live with that and answer for it when the time comes. I often wonder how your family can stand by your side. You abused Liam in their home. You abused all of your ex-girlfriends, one resulting in a restraining order. One had to have an abortion because you beat her so often she knew if she had the baby, you'd abuse it too. Laura must be a special kind of dirtbag to be in a relationship with a child murderer. Can you detect the hate and bitterness in my words? It will remain forever. My grandson was so special to me and so loved, something you wouldn't know about. You were raised by cold, unfeeling people, and I believe you were jealous of my grandson because you could see how much he was loved. You were jealous of the relationship Brianna had with him. You wanted her to love you like she loved him. She would never love you. You made her physically ill. She would come home from your apartment and tell me she didn't know how long she could continue being nice to you, surrendering to your demands, every sickening one of them. She did it to protect her son, and that infuriated you. You knew she hated you. She found you repulsive. She would never willingly give herself to you. You had to take her unwillingly. But I think that's what you like, you sick freak. I have watched the video of you taking my grandson's lifeless body into the hospital. You acted as if you were on an afternoon walk. You stood patiently at the receptionist desk in the ER as if he had a splinter or something. No sense of urgency. A father would have called an ambulance, even if it meant the police would respond, which would have led to you being questioned and possibly detained. Even after the hospital staff realized the severity of my grandson's situation, you were texting one or two of your hookups. Once you realized he was dying, you called Daddy. And here's my thoughts. You called Daddy. He tells you the ER will have to report this to the police. And Daddy, being the highly decorated state trooper, told you to get out of there because you would be questioned and detained. Then Daddy called Stafford Police to report an unaccompanied death. Your only concern was the dog. You asked your parents to take care of the dog. You were definitely the definition of dirtbag. I am grateful my grandson didn't have to see your face as he took his last breath. My wish for you is you experience what you did to my grandson and you take your last breath alone, afraid just like he did. I will pray I'm still here to get that news. I will plan a celebration. I might even come to your funeral if you have one. I will definitely visit your grave unless you're cremated, because I'm going to piss right in your face. I'm not well and I don't pretend to be. You did this to me. But for now, I have to walk away from this, from you. I owe it to my family and to myself. I will keep your appeal and parole, etc., on my calendar and speak and fight for continued justice for my grandson. But this is my farewell to you, the monster in my head. Have a nice day. And so that is my final letter to Chris Gregor. I'll follow up with his appeal process. Anything that I can or do to voice my concern about any parole or appeals that he may file, I'll be there. But
it's important that other people, I will be going to every parole hearing I can as well. I don't know the parameters. I don't know the rules. I don't know who can go or why. I know I've been affected by this case as I think all of you have as well. So, yeah, I would love to go before the parolees and retired DCP&P worker with Rebecca and anyone else that would be helpful.
I was going to ask you that, Rebecca. Is that something that you want? You know, we all want to help, right? We all want to help Corey. We all want to help Rebecca. We all want to help Bree. But
I think it's important to have input from all of you who were affected by this, especially those of you that are professionals and work in this field. I think it's very important to have you all in our corner and, you know, to maybe say the things we don't know how to say, you know. I don't think it could be hurtful in any way. You know, that's my opinion. I appreciate any support, you know, during his appeal process and anything that may come up.
We don't have any knowledge of a date, right?
No.
The only thing I know on the appeal,
not that I could find,
there was it's sealed for some reason, his appeal. Okay.
Yep.
And the only thing I was able to find
weird.
out, yes, there was notice of appeal filed on his behalf from another attorney, not Meeple.
People.
But they had until the end of July to get it in, what their appeal was based on, and to get the actual appeal in. I don't know if they met that deadline or if they asked for it.
It's not been filed yet, Rebecca. I checked this morning. Nothing's been filed.
Right. So it's also very odd that the prosecutor's office is not handling the appeal and have no knowledge of it. It's being handled by higher ups.
Ocean County Prosecutor's Office is not handling the appeal. It's being handled by
The district
head of-
attorney, I guess.
it's the head of Department of Law and Public Safety. His first name is Bill. Last name starts with a B, but I cannot pronounce it or spell it. But it's the head.
Were
of
you
public-
notified of that?
No, I had to do a lot of digging, and the prosecutor's office investigated and inquired about it. And that's at that time they were told that they would not be handling the appeal. And nobody knows why. They said it happens sometimes this way, but I'm not sure why they're not handling it.
And maybe it's a good thing. So we'll see. Maybe it's a good thing. We'll see.
So we have some questions in the chat.
Sure.
Okay, so well, we have some comments as well where you were reading the letter, and Daniela says a lot of dads would love to have the experience of being a dad, and this evil man couldn't, and so that was obviously support. Esty Anna says, I'm looking forward to the book. Can you ask Rebecca if her book is coming out in audio?
It will be an audio book, as well as, a paperback hard copy book. I'm just about finished. I'm sending in, I have pictures and the cover that needs to be worked on. I've asked some very close people that were close to Corey to write a handwritten memory of Corey to include in the book. So I'm waiting for a few of those people to get those to me, and then it should be done. I've had a lot of issues with the book. I happened to, I guess you could say I was bamboozled by a couple publishing companies, and it cost me a little bit of money, and they didn't do what they were going to say, so that delayed my book. But then I found another avenue, and it seems to be that, my book could be done in about a week. So
Cheers. We have applause. Applause.
Excited about that. If everything, all the papers, the pictures, everything gets in and they send it back to me and it looks like it's good to go, I'm going to do it. And I don't know if anybody's going to buy my book. I want to have a book signing. I want to feel like Teresa Giudice from the Real Housewives in New Jersey. I want people that want to be there and sign my, I want to sign copies.
Buddy, you and I could go.
I'm going to be buying probably like a dozen books, and I'm going to be giving them out to other people that can get access to it.
I just want to mention, the two prosecutors in Corey's case, Christine Lento, Jamie Schron, I don't know how to say her last name.
Sure.
Detective Dennis Mitchell. I've dedicated the book to them because of their hard work. I know that something has come up that was brought to our attention not too long ago that I don't know if the information we received is legitimate. But even with that being said, I do know that whatever happened prior to Corey's death, I do know that after the fact, they did put their all into this case and got the sentence that we got. So for that, I have to give them credit.
It was a very high profile case, and they definitely got some kudos, some PR, some kudos, and a promotion. So I think that's awesome for everybody.
I think that Detective Mitchell,
yes.
I don't know if all of you are familiar with him.
Yes.
I don't know who to talk to, but that man deserves a promotion.
Is he the CQ? Is he the tech guy? Who's the tech detective?
No.
He was amazing.
Detective Mitchell, he was I believe, the very first one on the case.
Okay.
And he came to my house the night Corey passed, and I hated him that night. Oh, I cursed him. I probably cursed him for the first 2 years of this whole case. And he was always nice to me. He never got mad at me. I don't know why, but I hated him in the beginning because I just felt like he wasn't doing enough. He wasn't saying enough. But in the end, I realized why he was keeping certain things under wraps, and I really respect him. And I think that he did a wonderful job on Corey's case.
They never gave up. The investigation went on for almost
all
2
these
years.
and,
For years. Before they could
Yeah.
do what, and it was all under wraps, but they were working on it. They never gave up from the first moment.
Yeah.
They never gave up.
Like I said, even given the information that we were just given not too long ago about a document that came to our attention, I sure hope it's not true.
I can say this, Rebecca. Courthouses overall are gossip fest. They really are. It's no different than any kind of, big area of people in it. And this person said that person, unless you physically see it for yourself, then it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
I
happened.
understand. Yeah. I get where you're coming from. I don't want to say too much, but I do get where you're coming from. I agree with Mindy, but I think that we need to kind of get the noise out and concentrate on your awesome buck, your courageous battle.
And the dedication will come with time and your thought and input from everybody, and you'll make the right decision. I know it.
Yeah, let's take the clutter out, or try to. I know it's hard. And concentrate and remain focused on that Corey. So that would be my suggestion. We all heal differently. We all want to do things differently. It doesn't make it right or wrong. But I think that moving forward, Corey and your family are my number one, not what happened to whomever.
Right. Thank you.
And changing the law. It's very important to me.
If anybody has any input from the inside,
Yeah.
reach
Yeah, definitely.
from the inside.
I'm working on it. I promise. There's a lot that I can't say, but I will not give up. I told you guys that day. I will not give up on Corey.
I have a question for you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. If the case is on appeal, he filed an appeal timely, it was accepted, whatever, and it's sealed, would your search reveal the case and show it sealed and not open it up, or would you not see anything at all?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, under the guidelines of it's not a straightforward answer. There are some things that counsel can get that are sealed, but it's a process, right? We are very all impatient people, me included.
Yeah, I don't even know the nature of the appeal, whether that right now is pertinent to any of your goals right now. We don't want him to win the appeal, but it's not as though the appeal process where you're involved in the family. Isn't that correct? The family really isn't involved in the appeal process. It's all legal litigation, hearings, motions, etc.
Right now it is, yes. But
Aren't
Corey,
they allowed to? They're not allowed to say anything. Aren't they allowed to Aren't they allowed to write that letter to like why they shouldn't go out? Like
no, that's a parole. The appeal is that the judge made a mistake in a ruling, and there was an error in some legal litigation fashion that they should get either a new trial or should get, whatever.
There's people trying to fight like
and it's very common. Appeals are always common. When someone's convicted of something, an appeal, it's very likely. And Judge Guy took deliberate actions to grant I'm going to call him Meatball now because that's his nickname. I call him Mario Gallucci. He granted every motion. He was very deliberate and very careful not to deny him anything because thinking of the appeal. And I'm really optimistic that he did everything as possible, even the sentencing. He did his research, and I'm confident that at least on the judge's part, and that there was no grounds for appeal. But it's very common to file appeal. I think criminals. I just know. I'm guessing from watching TV. You always file an appeal.
We were told by the prosecutor every prisoner, every defendant files an appeal.
They do. Listen, guys, we didn't leave that courthouse that day without an appeal being already filed. So it is what it is.
I mean, he said it.
They were working on it. Remember we saw
Yeah.
them? They were all working on it, I think,
They
before
said-
we left.
Yeah, so co-counsel, usually that's her job or whomever, and they try, and that's why she's there. That's one of her roles. And it, unfortunately, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. But I guess my ask to everyone, even in the chat, and to Toddy and is and to Rebecca mostly, girl, you kick ass. You know, I watched you for days and weeks, and and Bree, but I remained focused on you and your daughter. And I saw a lot of resilience in both of you. And sometimes we get clouded with the goings on and around us, and we lose focus in what's important. And I'm letting you know that not only do you have this child advocate, but you have 100 plus in your corner.
She's got a lot of support.
We need to get
workers supporting her.
We need to get you on that focus. Yes, we'll deal with the appeal. Yes, I'll be there with you. Or one of the 100 plus advocates will be there with you all the way. And Bree, you have my word. I gave you my word that day I left. That's not going to change. But what we really need more is we need changes in the law, Rebecca.
Yes.
And that can only happen when we continue to push forward and dismiss the background noise.
Right.
So I'm asking you that when we move forward, hopefully with Toddy's help, you know, I know that Brianna's met with some folks. I heard all about that. You know, I got a lot of pull. Not patting myself on the back, but I'm pretty reasonable. And so are my colleagues. And the breakdown in the system is, and the total lack of disregard to a child. I cannot sleep at night with that. You know, I'm going to share and then I have to rock. A couple of weeks ago, about 2 months ago, I heard about a case that I was on. She was mine. The child died. She was 2 of a drug, a methadone overdose. And I had the case, and the child was reunified with the parents, which I believe in. But at that time, I didn't feel that it was the right thing to do in the best interest of the child. 5 months later, she passed away. She's 2. When that happened, I immediately got a phone call from that prosecutor and said, Jennifer, we don't want you here. Why? Because we know this is going to kill you 10 times more than the Micciolo case did, even though I wasn't really on the Micciolo case. We're going to have somebody come in. I said, hell to the no on that. I was her advocate.
Wow.
So if we could change and put Corey's law here and the rest of the stuff here, that's my priority.
So can I ask a question? Because I'm skeptical now. and if I don't mean to be insulting, but
No.
did they want to have you not be on that case because you knew what was going to happen and they wanted you to just
With
go away?
Corey,
Or was it, nope, the one you just talked about, or was it really
Me too,
because they were concerned about your mental health?
mental health. Mental health, Heidi. You know, when children die in the system, especially if it goes against something that the advocate doesn't want, I didn't want the child to go back with the parent. Not at that point. She wasn't ready. And that was
Yeah,
similar
that's
to
the point
Brianna.
that I was that's the point that I'm making as well. Is, you know, I think that unfortunately the system protects itself because
Mhm.
look at what happened. So
I
that's
know.
why I asked, was it really about your mental health or was it to protect them? And that's why I was like, I'm sorry, but I
Oh,
just wanted to ask the
no
question.
offense,
No,
Toddy.
not even think about
I
it.
believe it was a little of both. I could be a little nasty. I did not want the child going back with the mom. I didn't feel that the mom
Yeah,
had
that doesn't
confided
look
enough.
good for somebody trying. That's what I'm saying. Like that doesn't look good for them because you're the one
No.
that's there on the ground,
Yes.
and so you're the one that should be the one that kind of gives the final word. Why is somebody behind a desk who hasn't been to the scene of anything giving the final word when you're the one that's there actually seeing it? There's a problem with that. There's a problem with people over your head making decisions when they don't know what's going on. I mean, why? Let them go out and do the research then. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree 100%.
I think that a lot of people in the field, have a lot of compassion fatigue, and they may have been looking out for you. And there's someone else that could speak to the case, maybe your supervisor or colleague, or something like that. So they were trying, I think, sounds like they were trying to protect you. I don't know. And be, that, but who knows? But I think with Rebecca, Rebecca doesn't have compassion fatigue. She's not in the field. She's like a victim. She is seeking justice for Corey. She is never going to stop keeping Corey's memory alive. And she is prioritizing, I think, and multitasking and getting, I think, a lot done. The book, I think, was the first thing. Book one, number one.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be two. So.
And I think that Corey's Law is also right up there. And,
Yes.
it's a lot of, it's a big bureaucracy, big, politicians, a lot going on in that area. So that it might be a little bit of it's up there in priorities, but it's going to be a little bit of a longer term kind of accomplishment. But the hard work and the networking definitely should continue.
And, my reason for having my last letter to Chris, believe it or not, that letter writing was like a full-time job. It consumed me. I started thinking about the next letter when I finished one, and
so that's on your plate.
I had to give up that job so I could focus and make things happen. And I want to do this YouTube thing. I don't know what you call it, content creator, podcaster,
YouTuber, influencer.
I don't know what you're going to call me. People are probably going to call me a lot of things, I'm sure. But I want to.
You're going to call her an advocate, and
I do.
Just put your channel up there and let it be organic. That's what you do.
Yeah, it's I thoroughly enjoy. I do a morning show with Toddy Monday mornings about addiction, and I live for that show. That does so much for me. It's therapy for me. As you all know, I lost a son to addiction. And, I'm hoping this channel that I've created is very similar in helping me. I'm never getting over what happened to Corey. I'm always going to be pissed off. I'm always going to be sad, bitter, angry. That's never going to change. It would get a little bit better if I got a call or read somewhere that Chris was taken out of the prison in a body bag. I'd feel a little bit better. I'm not going to lie. And when I said I would have a party, I most certainly would have the biggest party I could afford. I would celebrate it. I would send his parents an edible arrangement and balloons and clowns and everything. And I would piss on his grave if I could find it. I would squat right over where his
I
head
would find
be.
out. I will find out for you. That make sure it's legal, okay? And if it's not, she's not going to do it.
I don't
okay?
think you're allowed to piss on a grave,
Yeah,
but
so
I don't care. I'm doing
We're
it.
not.
Nowhere,
She's.
as far as I know,
Hey.
nowhere are you allowed to do that.
Can't do it.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm going to check it. I always say I'll check into things. I never know 100%, but
in
it sounded like it was
Rebecca,
a great
people
idea.
turn their heads, you know.
Listen, I'm not bright and I have physical ailments. And if I got to pee, I got to pee. And I
Yeah.
can't help where I
Yeah.
am when I do it.
Jennifer,
That's right.
I want to commend you, Jennifer, because I think what Rebecca's doing with the letters is exactly what you suggested. You know, she's got her book, she's got Corey's Law, she's got her YouTube. Can you hear me now? Exclamation, question mark.
Question mark,
Oh,
exclamation.
okay. That's important to get that right.
Well, this is the channel that it's on right now.
Yes, I know.
This is the
But I
channel
just
that
want to
it's
say
on.
it a lot. By the way, the more likes there are, the more love she gets, the more questions, the more the more any kind of comments, just love.
Yeah,
It's going to help her channel.
It's a little discouraging because I don't have a lot of subscribers and I don't know how long that takes to happen. I don't know how to get it to happen.
It's going up.
I don't know what to do.
It's going to be going up.
I just want to have, you know, my thought was, oh my gosh, Justice for Corey has 20,000 members. I'm going to get all these people and they're going to come and follow me so I can keep them updated on what's going on. But it hasn't happened. And
Justice for Corey. Come on, people.
What am I gonna
Please.
do,
If you're
you know?
watching, I know who is watching.
A
I know
few people. I'm sorry. A few people are asking in the Audible book. Will it be you reading it, Rebecca?
I actually, and I know you people are going to think I'm nuts, but I've reached out to, do you guys know who Keith Morrison is? He's on, I Want Him. I love that man. I love the way he tells a story, and I want him to read. I want him to be the voice
Did he do the news?
of my audiobook.
Does he do news journalism?
He's
The 48-hour guy, right?
yeah.
That's what I was saying. Journalism. Yes.
But I don't know that it's going to happen. I haven't heard back from him. So then my other pick was Gypsy Rose, and she hasn't gotten back to me yet
Oh,
either.
not
Oh,
That's
look
just
at Toddy and I.
That's just a joke between me and Toddy. She totally gets it. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, part of me, I want to read it because I know all of the people that know me, they get me and my humor or sarcasm. So I kind of think it might have to be me reading it, but I don't know. I don't want one of those generic robot people reading it because I can't. I've tried to listen to books and they don't know when to pause or when to show emotion. So it's going to be very difficult to let somebody like that do it.
My personal opinion is you have a really sweet, nice voice. Tell me, guys, do you guys agree? Give a like if you do.
Yeah, they did
She has
want her to read it, but go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
What do you think, Toddy? You think she should do it? Her voice is so nice.
I think so, and I think that the chat agrees with that. And yes, Matthew Perry's stepdad is the gentleman.
Yes, that's exactly who he is. And you know, I just love him though. He just he puts the right emotion into a story, and you know, that's what but nobody got back to me because I'm a nobody.
They say you have a soothing voice.
I don't know about soothing, you know, but I just feel like when I say fuck or something, it has to be me saying it. I don't know if Keith Morrison's going to say fuck. I don't know if he's going to say the stuff I say. I don't know, you know?
Yeah,
so
a lot of people agree. They want you to do
I
it.
just want the story.
I think the problem with Keith Morrison doing it, if I'm honest with you, is if he does your book, you know how many people are going to write to him about
and you know
doing
how many
your
have probably have already asked him to do it.
Probably,
So I don't think I'm ever going to hear back from him. But that was my first. That's my first thought. That's what I wanted. But
people are saying it's powerful coming from you. It would be powerful coming from you.
You know,
I agree, Toddy.
Yeah, no, that's what they're writing in the comments.
I agree. I can't see the chat, but I agree. I think Rebecca, I think you have a voice.
I just think it's going to have to be from me because it's me telling the story. It's me telling Corey's story, and nobody can tell Corey's story like the people that lived it.
It would be
So,
powerful coming from you.
I think it's going to end up being me, definitely. So
Yay.
we'll see. Everybody will know soon enough who it
Rebecca,
is.
you have the emotions we need to hear. That's
Yep.
what
I agree with that. I think that nobody else is going to be
you got to do it. You lived it. Exactly. Yep.
right.
Yeah.
So I have something I wanted to bring up, and Rebecca doesn't know I'm going to do this, but I have an idea. I wanted to know if anybody has any ideas I wanted to get T-shirt for Rebecca and whoever wants it with her new YouTube channel. Can you hear me now?
I think it would be a good thing to maybe do a giveaway live or something. I don't know, Toddy, what do you have experience with this? Would that be something?
Well, yeah, I was going to say if anybody has any ideas for like a logo or anything, and they can put it on the channel, or just some ideas or anything.
Yeah. So those are two different things that you're talking about. I think that's an awesome idea. So
Even if we start-
the first thing I want to ask is, I want to go ahead and put this live on my channel without monetization, and with obviously a link to your channel.
That'd be great.
I
appreciate
don't want to put it on both my channels because YouTube doesn't want the same content over and over. So I think we'll put it on the bigger channel
Coming from a grandma
with the most subscribers, but I won't put monetization, and I'll make sure that the link for your channel is on it. That's number one. Number two, was that I think it's wonderful to have people come up with logos, because you have so much talent in the comments.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
No,
you don't
I
even
really
know
don't.
that until they start sending you stuff. Then you realize, wow, look at how talented they are.
Yeah, I
So-
noticed in Justice for Corey, Maddie is amazing with graphics and things. And I don't know if she has any ideas she'd be willing to share, but she's always been very amazing doing everything in the Justice for Corey group. And I'm open to ideas. And
Yeah, there's also tables we can do too, Rebecca. Some outreach. I know National Night Out. It's a have to for me because I do a safe registry for the autistic population and children with the prosecutors. So I'm going to bring this
get
up.
a couple of T-shirts. We want to get T-shirts. I want for Rebecca to wear herself, and Brianna, and whoever wants to wear them locally, like whoever wants them, certainly is welcome to them. But like I figured something small, and then when she gets her book and the book signing, she may be doing a little road show then and doing those things.
I don't know if anybody has any ideas on how.
Yeah, there is somebody that has an idea in the comments here, which I think is a good idea, but it's not my call. So Esty Anna says, would you share a drawing of Corey's, Rebecca? I feel that would be a beautiful thing on a T-shirt.
Oh, a drawing of Corey can you hear me now?
A drawing of Corey's.
Yes.
Like when Corey did his artwork.
Yeah,
So that's something.
Brianna has a couple tattoos of Corey's actual artwork. She got tattooed on herself, and yeah, that is a good idea to do something like that. And I'll think about.
Is it Nanny that is like super duper really good with this? Remember
Maddie is an awesome.
Yeah.
Maddie is so awesome in her graphic work, says Ronnie Busey.
Yes.
Yeah, so this would be to advertise and for Rebecca to wear, and whoever's on her guest could wear it.
I mean, I would just really like if I get some things made, just during these live shows. Like I know Milk Money and Mayhem did some giveaways, and that was really cool. I was on her live, and it gets people going, it gets them involved, and it makes them remember you, and maybe they'll tune in again, and brings awareness to what you're trying to bring awareness to, so I think it could be a
great
good
ideas. Great ideas.
But I know I've kept everybody long enough, and I'm sure you got other stuff to do. I think this went pretty well. I'm happy. Would I like to be bigger and have 500 subscribers, 1,000? Of course, who wouldn't? But I don't know how long that takes. I'm new at this. I don't know. It may never happen for me, but
I think Rebecca's also going to cross over to do maybe some Instagram lives and YouTube lives if it's possible. So she's going to cross over social media as well. So she reaches more audience. And so that's going to be like, again, it's a work in progress, the site. But we'll be all informed.
I'm trying to do more. I'm trying. I don't have the whole hang of this yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't know how it's done. I don't know how to get people to watch me or subscribe. I'm working
whoever's
on it.
out there that can help Rebecca, that would be great. And she would appreciate anything.
Tottie's been a big help. I mean, I guess we can't threaten people into subscribing, but
that's not a good idea. I think that's actually probably illegal. I would be interested to know if anybody actually is watching this from Facebook. I'm interested in knowing, is this only on YouTube or is anybody watching this at all from a Facebook Live?
I think it's supposed to be dual streamed, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, that's why I was asking that.
I guess we'll check. I don't know if anyone out there could check on their phones. I don't have my phone.
I'm going to do it right now, actually. I figured let me do it right now. I love the idea of getting
Rebecca. I want to start Rebecca off with the T-shirt of her. I love the name, actually. Can you hear me now? And on the back, you might want to do justiceforcorey.com, justiceforcorey.com, just to, because that's the history and so on, the whole background. And then, of course, Justice for Corey is her, the crux of, a great movement. And this is just going to continue her journey. And I'm really excited for her. I think that this is cathartic. I think that her voice is going to be heard now, and it was not heard before. It was shut down by workers that weren't able to engage with both sides of the family. And I'll be getting more into details as to what I think went wrong on this case. As from my experience on doing initial investigations, I was not involved in the case at all.
What is the Facebook page? Is it the Justice for Corey Facebook page?
Rebecca's, right?
It should have been on my own personal. That's how I tried to set it up, but I
so is that just Rebecca Micciolo?
Rebecca Loudon Micciolo.
Okay, hold on.
Just a thought I'll throw out there, Rebecca. I am swamped. Going on a mission trip. I'm leaving next week for Guatemala, so I'll be gone for about 15 days.
Wow.
With my little boy, we're building an orphanage, or we're helping.
Be safe. Be safe.
Yeah, thank you. And then when I get back, he starts school. So I'm looking probably at like the first week of September. We could have a round table. I'll drive to you guys, or you guys, we'll make it work. You have my number, because my thinking out loud is, what's really going to carry not just the book, but the message in Corey's Law, is law enforcement. And, with National Night coming out in 5 days, I think it's on the 2nd, that even though we have to work on this. I know I do. We have to dismiss Mr. Gregor and his connection to that, because there are good law enforcement that truly give a shit. Trust me.
Absolutely. My family is law enforcement. I love law enforcement.
So I have that heavy connection there, with many different counties, for different reasons, whether it be caseload, whether it be training, continued ed, and so on. I would love to get at, starting in September, which is around the right time, some tablecloths, on a table at some outreach events that are throughout this entire state. And I have that connection with the other advocates in different counties and judges and law enforcement, and they could set that up and, print out some cards. I believe it's Maddie. I don't want to get her name wrong, but I remember when the trial was going, these graphics, I don't know if this woman is a computer graphic artist. That's or
Maddie. I don't know.
I can't draw a stick figure. So I have no talent when it comes to that, but some kind of, outreach, I think would also help the channel and Corey's Law.
Jennifer, it's really interesting you mentioned that about having access to judges, lawyers, and that kind of conference, maybe atmosphere, or that, because, you know, DCP&P, when I was employed, also engaged with judges and lawyers and the court systems to try to enhance our communication and engage them in working with us on child abuse cases, as opposed to just their role as a judge decision maker.
Yeah, so let me give you a different perspective on that. So when we go into a court, I'm sure you're aware of this, you all, DCP&P is not speaking. So you're represented by your counsel. The advocate or law guardian has a different scope, right? We're looking at the whole picture, and then the judge goes and listens to all of the key factors in the case. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to take this, there are some, just like police, just like anybody, just like child advocates, just like anyone, not everyone is perfect, and people make mistakes. Almost cussed. Because I'm like you, Rebecca, with the F-bomb. I'm terrible. I'm trying to get better, but I'm really bad. You know, and I think it's a hard balance, right? But if this was done independently, on behalf of Corey, Brianna, and Rebecca, I think it would go over better as far as outreach. Communication.
Yeah.
I'm not a DCP&P caseworker. I'm not. I've seen it all. And I'm also not a judge, and I'm also not law enforcement, and I'm not Corey's mom or grandma either. So I think that needs to be recognized, because the community of the judicial system, it's broken. Corey's not the only child. And moving forward, I think Rebecca needs, not only for the book, for herself and her healing, we need to fix that. Try to, at least.
Yeah, Corey's law.
That's my focus.
Is going to be a huge focus, and then changing the law, and whatever law, how that looks, whether it's going to involve judicial, domestic violence.
I mean, there were so many people who failed Corey. Like I said, it started with Chris and his family, law enforcement themselves. I know their hands are tied, and there's certain protocol when they go out to do a welfare check, but I think they could have done a little more. It was mishandled. Even 5 days, 6 days prior to Corey's death, when the two officers from Barnegat went out to do the welfare check, they took pictures and interviewed Corey in Chris's arms. Chris is in every picture. Where does somebody think that's okay?
And what's odd, Rebecca, is they did not take Corey to a CAC center, correct?
Well, that's not accurate.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah, there's more information that's going to be coming out in our next podcast. It's going to be cliffhangers, okay? But
well, I'm not interested. No offense, I'm not interested in cliffhangers. I'm interested in justice.
Well, meaning that we can't. Yeah, it's not.
I don't want to say too much, because I think that's being looked into right now, whether he was.
Okay, good.
Not,
I was going to ask you any good. Okay, good. Because the CAC center, why was that? That never made any sense to me either.
Let's just say it to be continued on that subject. Yeah, so Jennifer, gotcha on that.
We'll talk about that more, because right now I feel like it's being looked into, and
good.
If it would have been, if proper protocol would have been in place, I think Corey would still be here.
But you're right. Corey, Rebecca's right. Corey was not interviewed in a neutral setting.
He was interviewed in the arms of the abuser.
Exactly.
He's in the pictures. Chris is in every picture of every injury that they documented that night. Great. They did their job. They documented the injuries, but they interviewed him while Chris was holding him. You know, that makes no sense to me.
And the injuries were in very high risk areas, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, it's
The
very
injuries,
frustrating.
that's what caught my eye when I first saw this on social media. The injuries were all high risk area, not soft tissue like the buttocks or the back of the thighs. They're all high risk area, bloody eye, busted lip, forehead, kidney, chest. They were all in high risk area. And then they started to increase in severity and frequency if you follow the case, which I know you probably reviewed case records before in your capacity as an advocate.
Absolutely.
And that the cumulative record review is disappointing.
It's extremely disappointing that the child was questioned with the father present. I mean, and I can't honestly say that is the first time I've heard it. It happens time after time after
And that's
time
part
after
of the
time
change.
again.
That's part of Corey's law that we
Correct.
put in. That has to change. It has to change from law enforcement to how the hospitals handle things, teachers. It has to change.
There's already protocol on how to do initial investigations. You really must interview the child in a neutral setting, and that often can be at school and away from both parents. If there's any question, you want them where they feel safe and supported so they can talk. And Corey would have talked if he was in the right place, I think.
I think he would have if somebody would have just told him that if you tell, we'll protect you. Because Corey knew every time DCP&P came out, he got punished after.
They have, yeah, exactly. And there's been no transparency, no accountability. This person's pointing the finger at that person. And it's just, unfortunately, not to sound hard, but it's so common. I'm tired.
Well, if children are not being interviewed in a neutral setting away from the alleged perpetrator, it's absolutely not following protocol, DIFAS protocol.
Right.
It's Child Abuse 101. There is absolutely no reason that should not be a part of their regular routine. Also, engaging the child. You talk about non-threatening topics. What's your favorite subject at school? What's your least favorite subject at school? What do you like to do? What's your hobbies? You get to know them. You make them feel safe. And you get them to trust you, and you explain that I need to talk to you and you're not going to get into trouble because my job is to make you safe. And
yeah, but it goes.
There's different ways of doing it, but engaging the child is really important.
Because there's more than that, because you have to be prepared to take that child somewhere if you're not getting the answers that child is safe. That child has to go. More. You can't just have it. Obviously, we can't just have a child saying, "Yeah, I'm not safe here." Okay, and now we figure out the next system.
Toddy, every time we leave the office, we are ready to make a child safe, and so that is what our jobs are. Every time we leave the office, we have our kit of everything we need to do to make a child safe.
So I guess somebody forgot their kit at home when it came to Corey.
That's what I'm talking about. So I mean, like,
safety assessments.
And just like somebody wrote in the comments, the laws and all this is great as long as they're enforced.
Exactly. So that's all I'm trying to say. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. And that might be on the worker because of, a lot of things, we have. I know workers, this would never happen. This would never, ever, ever happen. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I've had great DCP&P, hand in hand, wonderful, and then not so good.
And that's the sad part for Rebecca. That's a hard pill for her to swallow. That's a hard pill for any family to swallow.
Like I said, we had one good social worker and things were going to happen and the Gregors got rid of her.
And you know what?
They made her go away.
Management took her off a case, and sometimes management doesn't like the workers that speak up. And say what they want to say because they
Right.
don't like the message. So they will, you know, make adjustments, especially if someone of the Gregors' demeanor, like he carried himself like a very experienced, well, knowledgeable. They knew how to manipulate and say the right things.
I agree with that, but I also think that there comes a time and a place where enough is enough. And every single time that I've not been happy with the DCP&P caseworker, they're off the case. Out.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Have you ever
But
worked in
that's
Ocean
me.
County?
So there needs to be a
What
lot
is
of
the-
communication. Like Toddy
What
was saying,
county
there
do you
needs.
work in? Jennifer, may I ask
I'm
what
in
county?
Mercer, Middlesex, Ocean, Cumberland, Burlington,
Awesome.
and they just assigned me Essex, but I will not go to Essex. It's too far.
Did you ever notice any differences in any of the counties? Like,
Sure.
and what's your opinion on the case that the office that Corey's case came out of?
I have to keep that to myself, but Toddy can ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, Jennifer, what do you think of that office?
Listen, I just think that
You could say on a scale of 1 to 10, what?
I think it depends on the caseworker assigned, the judge assigned, and I think it depends on the workload. That's how I'll answer that question.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer.
Every
I didn't
county.
want to put you on the spot. I didn't want to
No,
put
it's
you on the spot.
okay. I would, for every county though, it's not just.
look, man, we
Middlesex.
would have to be silly and stupid to be sitting on here saying that we've got a good system. The whole system is effed up. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, all you got to do is turn on the news. The whole system, it is. So
It is.
I don't mean to be mean, but I've been like chopped off here a few times. Let me just finish what I have to say. I understand that this isn't going to be done overnight. And I understand that I was just a counselor. I was just a drugs counselor 15 years ago with kids that could talk. I wasn't anything like you guys are. Okay. I don't have my social work, but to me, common sense is it makes sense that when Brianna said, listen, they need a place where the kids could talk so that they're free. Yes, they do. But they also need the place to take the kid that is a safe place for that child in case the answer isn't where the kid is safe. There's a whole systemic problem here. And what used to work maybe years ago it doesn't work anymore. Whether it be because we're understaffed, we still have to do things to protect these kids. And listen, I'm not going to do it on my own. You're not going to do it on your own. But I think when a bunch of people that are trying to get something achieved and they come from different backgrounds, but the goal is the same, that things can happen. So the main thing is, how do we protect these children until we find out what's really going on? Because there's too much of this going on.
Yes.
That's it. That's all.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I agree, Toddy.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. We're sick of this, man. Aren't we sick of this?
So sick, so sad. I am, 35 years, and you're also professional, Jennifer, and you, all of you, it is extremely tiring to see it, and to see all the work and the effort and the scientific based evidence approaches are failing.
Yeah.
Toddy, you're an incredible woman, human being.
I can have a big mouth. Anybody can have a big
Hey, sister, I'm with you.
Anybody can have a big mouth, though, right?
Right. But, I think everything happens for a reason. And I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not on social media. I have this little Facebook thing only. I'm very private with that too. And Rebecca's on there. I don't accept friend requests, although if I don't work with you, then or if it's not an opposing, I can break that rule. But, Toddy, you're a gift because you are more the YouTube person, right? It took me 20 minutes to figure out how to do this from a computer. I'm not technical. And you have that gift, right? And that advocate, we're all advocates for Corey and his family. And I just wanted to say thank you. I watched some things in the past last year when, and coming forward with the commentary that you had, and man, you had me in tears in a good way, in a good way, because you really hit home. You really hit home, and I'm grateful for that as an advocate. And I think with the team, or whatever team that may be,
Right.
we need to start to get the shit or get off the pot. Kids are
You know,
dying.
exactly. And I think that, I don't know where to begin with that. I reached out to some people that Rebecca has now, I think, made contact with, to help on a wider scale as far as YouTube and stuff like that goes. And also because they have experiences about getting things done, where I can't. I'm not really a YouTuber. I've only been doing this for a few years, to be honest with you. And I mean, but it's important, I came from the hometown where Adam Walsh was abducted, so that hit home and brought a lot of, and then I worked with his grandmother, so I mean, I felt very passionate about that, and obviously I feel passionate about children because their voice is not heard. So I'm all for this, and in any way that I could help, of course I will help, but I don't have the experience that you guys have. I just know that the system is broken. Anybody could look at it. It's broken.
It definitely is.
And I understand that it's understaffed, but like we got robots now. Is there anything that maybe the robots could do that the people, that the people could focus on something else? You know what I'm saying? Like we have to bring things. Maybe the robots could sit there and work on the computers and stuff like that, and the real people could go out on the calls, or maybe there's something, but it has to change because, it seems like we're always going to be understaffed right now. To be honest, all of America is understaffed. That's just the way. We have to be smarter,
that's why I think,
man, we're 2025.
Right. I know, the DCP&P workers, maybe they have a heavy caseload, but guess what? You can't slack off, because guess what happens when you do? People die. Corey's dead. And, part of Corey's law that has been, the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, Christine Lento, kind of helped write some of these things that we would hope to be in Corey's law. And she thought about a possible mobile response unit. You know how they have it for like mental health issues where they come right out. Something like that for children that are where you think there's abuse happening. You get that professional to come out within the hour and make that determination. So that takes a little pressure off of DCP&P because you have these other professionals stepping in.
It's really interesting. I think that's a fantastic idea.
I think
so. However, years ago, we were the experts. My training, I had hours and hours and hours of medical training, how to look at the size, the staging, the shape of bruises, location, a lot of medical burns, immersion burns, and we were the experts. I am trained, and also we have the special response unit too, that they're 24/7. They're supposed to be experts, the top of the field, going out and doing initial investigations and making time and a half to do those investigations 24/7. Where are they? Where was the worker when Corey and Bree was at the hospital, and they were calling and having conversations, but he did not show up.
He never came to the hospital.
And there was no safety protection plan. So there's a lot of things that,
And the child abuse expert at the hospital had already gone home for the day. I mean, don't you think that should be a 24/7 kind of on-call position?
And supervisors, the use of supervisors on the case, that's also a critical point in which I think that they failed potentially, or the supervisor failed. We're the only state in the United States that has 4 levels of management. We have the worker, the supervisor, a casework supervisor, and a manager. Now, when you have bruises around a kidney, eyes hemorrhaging, you normally make a phone call to your supervisor, to say, And if you believe it's from playing football or bumping your head into a pool, or
Well, better yet, what about that treadmill video? When the social worker got a hold of that, wasn't that a call for the supervisor? Wasn't that something alarming?
March 26, 21, the division received and saw the treadmill video. Okay.
March 26th, they saw
Yes.
that video, but yet, guess what? Corey still had to be around that bastard, and now Corey's dead.
Yes. And
The system is broken.
yeah, that's when he had sustained injuries to his forehead, chest, hip, eye, arms, and legs. And that there was a concern that he was slapped in the face.
Another thing I
Yeah.
want to bring up,
And the
if you,
prosecutor's
if
office
you
was
guys
notified.
don't mind, I know we go off topic a little bit, but Toddy's used to me doing that because my mind wanders. But I was watching some more of the trial. I don't know. That's another thing I'm working on. I have to kind of stop doing that so much. I have to get away from doing that. But I watched something last night, and the doctor at the emergency room and the nurses were noting the injuries on Corey the day he passed. And when Corey left my house, he had no scrape on his chin, on his temple, by his eye, but he did have those injuries. So those were new from that day. Whatever Chris did to him, those were new injuries. And that was a little upsetting to me because he didn't have those when he left the house. So, it's just not that has anything really to do with, the social work or anything, because they obviously hadn't seen him that day. But,
Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Yes, it does. Because why couldn't they make a phone call and say, hey, listen, you saw your grandson this morning. Were there any bruises on him?
Nobody asked us that.
That's
and another thing,
what I'm saying. Like, it is their call. What are they supposed? I think that's important to do. Like, what was their job if their job wasn't that?
Right. Better yet, Chris was supposed to have him to a child abuse expert exam at noon that day and didn't show up. Nobody bothered to call or knock on his door and think, oh gosh, this is a big deal. Nothing happened.
I can give a perspective on how one of my cases can go. So there is a child advocacy center. That's call it a one-stop shop. There's doctors there. There's specially trained law enforcement. A child is taken there for one reason, and that's because the child goes about the different areas where they have to investigate. It's recorded. That's it. There are no parents in there. There are no guardians in there. This is specifically a child advocacy center. And I hate to say it this way because they are, no one is cattle or herd, but it makes my job a lot easier when all information is in one location. I do not have to interview that child because it's all there. And in the state of New Jersey, that is taken as testimony. You're not putting an 8-year-old, you're not putting a 12-year-old, unless, of course, the age of consent, they want to go on and consent on what trauma they went through or what have you. At the end of the day, it pisses me the blank off exactly what Toddy had just said. It does matter. Why did they not call? Why did they not call? Why?
It was a holiday weekend. Everybody wanted to go home.
That's the way America is now. That's the attitude, unfortunately. And I don't want to get into a political thing. I'm going to have to get off soon because I got to take care of the dogs and get ready for work. Yeah. But listen, America, to me, we pay a premium to live in a self-serve country. In order to do everything that is a great idea to save children that clearly this country no longer wants us to do away with if we even make a mistake and we become pregnant. So they're wanting unwanted children into this country. And in the meantime, children that are in this country that are already wanted are being failed by a system that is in existence. So it's a broken system. The way the country is going is only adding more to it, to a system that doesn't work, whether because we're understaffed, or we don't have the money for it. It's a broken system and no longer works because we're living in 2025. And I don't know how to help these kids, but these kids are going to continue to be collateral, unfortunately, until they're not. So the best thing to do is to just keep going forward in your lane and help the kids that you can help and help other people join forces, because the one kid that you help is one kid more that's here.
Right.
And that's the attitude that it's just the one kid at a time.
Right. And I keep saying, if we don't do something, there's going to be more Corys. There's going to be so many more, unless we all get together and fight and make changes. We have to make those changes. I don't know. It's easier said than done. I'm learning. But I just think the more people and the more noise we make, eventually somebody's got to listen. It can't continue the way it is. So,
Well, this grandma, Gma, is not going to be giving up.
no. But on that note, I think we should all go now. I'm hungry and tired, and I'm sure all of you are getting the same. And I appreciate every one of you so much for being here and always being supportive. And I hope we can do this again soon. I'm gonna
Keep it
try
up,
to-
Rebecca. We'll be here.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm doing what I can, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Keep it up. We got you, girl.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me. It was nice meeting you, ladies.
Yeah.
It was
Thanks,
so
guys.
nice meeting you,
I gotta
Toddy.
run.
Jennifer and
All right, everyone, have a good weekend.
Rebecca, I'll see
Thank
you
you.
on Monday.
Yes, I can't wait.
Okay.
I'll see you then. Everybody have a
All
good
right.
weekend.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And
we ended.
not quite. Studio.
Oops, made a face.
It's okay.
Oh my God.